Hey everybody, and how are you guys? So I don't know if you guys have heard the huge hype that's going on about the Redmi 5A phone. This phone is considered the best budget phone on the internet, and I've been reading a lot of reviews. So today, Gearbest was kind enough to send it out to us, and we are gonna test it out and compare it to the iPhone 6S. So I'm going to compare the most important aspects of these two phones to actually find out, is the Redmi 5A worth the hype? So let's get started and let's talk about the general structure of the phone. So first of all, the first thing that you notice about the Redmi 5A phone is definitely how it looks so much like the iPhone 6S, and that's why I am comparing these two. So the Redmi 5A that we have here with us right now is in the shade rose gold. So I am comparing it to the iPhone 6S in the color rose gold. The two colors are very similar, but I must say that the iPhone has more of a pinky tone to it. The Redmi 5A comes in 3 shades, the gold, rose gold, and gray. And the iPhone comes in 4 shades, so that's 1 more shade. Screen size, the Redmi 5A is slightly bigger than the iPhone, so that is definitely a plus in my opinion. So the iPhone 6S has a white trimming around it, meanwhile the Redmi does not. It still has a trimming in the same exact places, but there's no color to it. The Redmi phone has speakers on the back of the phone, so they are visible. Meanwhile, the iPhone has the speakers on the bottom, so it isn't exactly visible unless you're really looking for it. So looking at the front of both phones, the iPhone comes with a front flash, so when you're taking selfies at night, you get that good lighting. The Redmi does not. The Redmi is completely touchscreen, so there are no buttons at the bottom of the front of the phone. The buttons on the sides of the phones are very similar. The iPhone comes with a feature that you can silence it so it turns silent, just with that little button. The Redmi doesn't have that, but it does have your volume and your lock buttons on the side, just like the iPhone. The charging port for both phones is at the bottom, and the headphone jack on the Redmi is at the top of the phone, and on the iPhone it's at the bottom near the charging port. So at the top of the iPhone you don't get any holes or gaps and stuff. Appearance-wise, these phones are very similar, but obviously the iPhone is in iOS and the Redmi is in Android. So that affects the way the apps work, the way the apps are displayed, and basically the inside, the functioning part of the phone. And for me, that's a huge factor. I've always been an iPhone fan, so I love the way my iPhone works, and that's just what I'm used to. But if you are on a budget, I do think that this could be a great option because I have played around with this phone and it's so easy to use and the setup is really great. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna compare some apps and some features on the phones. I'm gonna compare the ones that I use basically every day in my everyday life. So let's give them a go and see what's better. Switching on the phones, I noticed that the iPhone takes a lot less time to load than the Redmi 5A. So if you're looking for speed in a phone, I do think that the iPhone is a lot quicker. A couple features that I love on the Redmi 5A phone that we don't have on the iPhone is the split screen feature. It's a great way to use 2 apps at the same time. It's great if you love multitasking. I'm a huge multitasker, so I think that I would definitely use this feature a lot. Something I love about the Note app on the Redmi phone is the fact that I can add templates to the background of my notes just to jazz up my notes a bit, and I think that they end up looking really cute. It's a fun way of taking notes and not boring at all. So a feature I'm in love with on the Redmi phone, and if you love taking selfies then you'll love this as well, it's the beautify feature. So when you take a photo, there is this feature in the top right corner, and you can automatically slim your face and smooth your skin to your liking. So if you like taking selfies and then you usually edit them afterwards, with this phone, there's no editing afterwards. You do all the editing right then on the moment. No editing needed, so you save so much time. The camera also comes with a bunch of filters that you can use and you can pick out while taking your selfies, so you don't have to add the filter afterwards. The Beautify feature though is not available on video, so it's only on photos, but that's cool if you like taking selfies. So I'm now gonna take a photo and I'm gonna slim my face, make my face all smooth, and I'm gonna show you guys how it turns out. So skin, boom. So I'm put everything to the max so we can see what it is like. So I'm gonna take a photo now. Okay, so I just slimmed my face and smoothed my skin. So let's see what the photo turned out like. A huge factor when somebody is picking a phone and if they love taking photos is the resolution of the photos and of the camera. The Redmi 5A has a 13 megapixel camera and the iPhone 6s has a 12 megapixel camera. So the Redmi 5A is obviously a tad bit higher. So obviously the best way to compare this is to take a photo by photo and a video by video. So you guys can decide what you think is best. So I'm gonna take 2 photos now and let's see the difference between the two. I don't know where to look. Now let's take the video. Okay, so we're filming a video now just to show you guys the difference. Obviously the lighting on the iPhone is completely different to the lighting on the Redmi. The Redmi lighting has a bit more of like a white undertone. It's very white, it's almost kind of blue. Meanwhile, I think that the iPhone is very realistic. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you what the outside looks like. So let's try and flip these cameras. Price range. So the Redmi 5A is so affordable and that's why a lot of people actually choose this phone. This comes at $105. Meanwhile, the iPhone 6s, brand new now, it is a bit old. It comes at $450. So there's a huge price gap between these two phones. Reading reviews online, a lot of people say that the Redmi 5A is such a great phone that it works amazingly for the budget. So if you're on a budget and you need a good working phone, then the Redmi 5A is definitely for you. Overall score, the iPhone gets an 8 out of 10 and the Redmi gets a 7 out of 10. So if you actually think about it, it's 1 point difference for what, like a $300 difference between the two phones. So if you're on a budget, then I definitely do recommend the Redmi 5A. It's such a great functioning phone. So we got our phone from Gearbest. It arrived in like a week. It was super easy to order and pick out the color and just to read about it online. Reviews were great. And I know it can be quite skeptical, unsure, buying a phone online and having it arrive in the mail, but this arrived in hardly any time and it arrived perfectly packaged. It was great. So definitely if you're interested in buying the Redmi 5A, I would recommend Gearbest as they are a great website to buy phones from and other things as well. So go check out gearbest.com. The link is in the description box below. Go tell us in the comments what phone you would be interested in. Tell us in the comments if you have a Redmi 5 phone and what your opinion is about it. Let us know what you think about the camera comparisons. A huge thanks to Gearbest for sending us this phone so we could test it out and compare it. And guys, we wish you a lovely, lovely week. Lots and lots of love from the Fourie family. Bye!